Ladies and gentlemen, this evening's General Electric Hour is presented for the purpose of acquainting you with electric labor-saving appliances and with the comfort and convenience which they are bringing to American homes. Today, electricity washes and irons the clothes, cleans the house, helps to prepare the food, and by proper refrigeration, keeps it fresh and healthful. It regulates the furnace in cold weather and makes the home comfortable in hot weather. In fact, it shares almost every household task and adds much to the health and enjoyment of home life. The heart of a labor-saving device is its electric motor. Accordingly, General Electric has developed these motors with the same engineering and manufacturing skill that it gives to great generators and electric locomotives. You can be sure that an appliance bearing the GE monogram on its motor is electrically correct and dependable, and that supporting it is a nationwide motor service available through General Electric offices and service shops. And now the musical program will be introduced by Mr. Walter Damrosch.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The first number on our program tonight is the first movement of a symphony by an English composer, Vaughan Williams. I suppose he would say a Welsh composer, because everybody named Williams is from Wales. So we will call him a British composer. But he has given us a lovely symphony which he calls a London Symphony. And this first movement gives us a mighty musical picture, not a guidebook picture, but an emotional picture of the emotions which a great city like that may awaken in us. Imagine the London of Dickens. It is a picture of the great undertone, the surging melancholy which a great city often inspires in us. The fog of London, through which we see the people and even the houses like phantoms. We hear Big Ben, the great clock in the Parliament Tower, in its famous chimes. And then we seem to see the surging throngs on the city on business or pleasure bent. You will readily recognize in the jolly tune the East End of London. The second theme, principal theme. There is a mighty theme of London. We need not go into musical particulars. I want you to listen to this movement and let the musical impressions in general help you to an understanding of its meaning. Well, we shall take a quick transition now from this half somber, half gay, half fog, half moonlight of London to a little waltz, a Russian waltz by Tchaikovsky, the Russian composer. Graceful, delightful, and as you will notice, written only for the stringed instruments of the orchestra.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the General Electric Hour, which tonight makes special mention of GE Motors for the operation of electric appliances in the home. There will now be a brief pause for station announcements.
You are listening to the General Electric station in Schenectady, WGY.
Mr. Damrush will continue the General Electric Hour.
Before we continue with the program, my dear friends, let me thank you for the extraordinary batch of letters that we received this week. There were over 1,000, and they touch on so many interesting points that I take the liberty of just quoting to you from a few. Here is one which is typical of many such interesting questions, which shows that among the 8 to 10 million that are supposed to listen in to my concert, and I consider that an incredible number and an incredible honor, which I am happy to receive, though undeserved. And this letter says and asks the question, can all music be translated into spoken thought or emotions? May I answer that by saying no. Because while music is a language of the emotions, it goes so far beyond what our own language can describe that all that we can do with spoken words is to indicate in a general way what music can describe. It is such a wonderful mystery that it cuts deeper into our hearts than any language can. Of course, when it comes to program music, so-called, that is often written to express actual things, dramatic occurrences, certain keynotes of the old legends, for instance, or of our thoughts on life and death. But you and I will agree that music will always be a mystery, which becomes the more mysterious the deeper we seek to explore it. Then here is such a darling letter from one of the many thousands who listen to us every Saturday evening from one of these numerous sanatoriums which are all over the country. And this gentleman writes to me after a very touching description of the sanatorium that he is in, that he says, once I recall the receiving set wasn't turned for the station by which the symphony hour had been broadcasted, and the manager occasionally locked the room where in the sanatorium's office the receiving set was kept, and he walked out. Soon there was a great group of patients at that office demanding to turn the radio as always for the symphony music hour. The head nurse had to call the janitor of the sanatorium, who found some way to open the door. The radio set was turned on, and this large group with a contented smile walked to their beds to put on their earphones. I never in my life will regret that I was able to hear the rest of that program. I heard the most wonderful performance of the symphonic poem Ultaba by Smith, or when the performance arrived at the spot where the music is picturing the sudden appearance of the two old ruined castles, Zwickau and Orlik, so beautifully hidden in the old pine woods on the river Moldau, until the river takes a turn and exposes them on their reefs, as they are, dreaming about their long-ago forgotten glory. Now this is, you see, a Czechoslovakian who's been in this country many years, and he continues, from this time on I was crying aloud like a little child. Perhaps I realized then that all these beauties of my old home country I never will see again. Wishing you the very best, which I only can wish to you, a perfect health. I am respectfully yours. Now there is an answer to the question that I gave you first. Can music express everything? This music expressed to this man so much more of home, of the old country, of its beauty, of its legends, than any spoken words can. And now I come to a letter which is but one of hundreds, on a chance remark that I made 2 weeks ago when I tried to explain to you something of the mood of the old pavane by Fauré, which I said was so mournful of nature that in its 17th century measures one could well imagine a beautiful princess dancing it opposite her lover, and he is false to her and she knows it. And I said, we do not know whether at the end of the dance she goes home to commit suicide or to die of a broken heart. And then I added the phrase, women felt deeply in those days. Well, my dear friends, you have no idea of the many hundreds of letters which I received, and they were charming letters, from ladies assuring me that the ladies of our time would feel just as deeply as those of the 17th century. And I am sure that they are right. But you know, all the women's figures that still remain in our memory, that we have read of olden days, that the poets have sung of, are the tragic figures. They are of the exceptional women who have felt more deeply than the others. And I'm sure that the poets will arise who will similarly single out such women among our own kind and our own people. Now we shall play for you something that is new to you, a composition inspired by Lindbergh's extraordinary exploit of crossing the Atlantic Ocean alone on his aeroplane, of whom he always spoke of this flight as we. So this title is given to the composition, which is written by an American, James P. Dunn, a musician of high repute who lives in the state of New Jersey, who has many orchestral compositions to his credit already, and who has sought to depict the flight and the great emotions that it aroused not only in our country, but all over the world. So you can imagine how tumultuous it is, how it is filled with the elation of its great exploit and of the audacity of Lindbergh in having attempted it, his courage, his intrepidity, and his happy accomplishment of his aim. So we have, above all, this theme of Lindbergh's audacity. There's your theme. And this you will find developed in the production until it finally resolves itself into a quick movement depicting the tinkering on his airplane. All kinds of mechanical sounds are heard in the orchestra, and then the beginning of the turning of the wheel, the gradual rise upward, and then the soaring, agitated flight into the blue. This is followed by a slower episode which takes the same theme, but now in slower tempo, which gives us the anxious moments with which we followed his flight. Instead of, we have episode of anxiety is developed, but again the quick movement comes, and lo and behold, we find suddenly a popular tune that you all know developed in fantastic fashion. What is that? And in ultra-modernistic whole-tone fashion, these bars of Yankee Doodle begin to rise higher and higher, are intertwined with the whirling of the airplane. Various other patriotic tunes are combined counterpointally with it, and we seem to hear the hurrahs of the French people as the airplane victoriously approaches and safely lands in the aerodrome, or airfield rather, of Paris at Le Bourg. We will now play for you this first performance performance over the air of the exploit of Colonel Lindbergh, also over and through the air from America to France. I'm sure you like that. It has the real spirit. It works up to an emotional climax. And I think you and I can unite in wishing Colonel Lindbergh and his bride the happiest time in their future, greater and longer flight which they are about to take together. Now we shall turn to the lovely scene from Wagner's Siegfried, where Siegfried lies under a wide branching linden tree. He has just slain the dragon. He's performed one of his first hero deeds. He has tasted the blood of the dragon, which has burnt his finger. And lo and behold, the birds who have been twittering and flying about over his head suddenly become intelligible to him, especially one bird that is perched on a branch right above his head and that has been singing incessantly at him, and suddenly the song has a meaning to him. It sings to him of new hero deeds, of wondrous things that he will accomplish, and finally urges him to press through the flames that are burning around Valpura Rock. And there he will find a wondrous woman covered, waiting for his kiss to awaken her. And Siegfried is filled with wondrous tremors of expectation. He's never seen a woman in his life. He doesn't know what a woman looks like. Poor child, just think of it. But something in his heart answers to that call, and he resolves to follow the bird that says, "Follow my flight, and I will show thee where thou canst find the flames, and press through and claim thy bride." So you will hear all the 1,001 sounds that make up the silence of the forest. The murmur of the leaves as they are faintly waved by the wind, the buzz of the bees, the twittering of the birds. All this Wagner has not imitated, but translated into your and my language of music.
same GE monogram which assures you that a labor-saving device is electrically dependable is a like assurance on GE Mazda lamps, the General Electric refrigerator, and electric apparatus for transportation on land and sea, for industry, and for use on the farm and in the home. In addition, General Electric manufactures radiolas and radiotrons sold through agents and dealers of the Radio Corporation of America. There will now be a brief pause in the General Electric Hour for station announcements.
This is the General Electric Station in Schenectady, WGY.
The program is continued by Mr. Damrush.
The last number on our program will be the waltz by Johann Strauss, Vienna Life, or Wiener Blut, as it is called, a gay picture of Vienna in the 50s and 60s.
You have heard, ladies and gentlemen, the General Electric Hour, presented to acquaint you with domestic appliances and the motors which operate them. These programs are broadcast for the purpose of making you familiar with the many electric products which General Electric and its associated companies manufacture and which are sold throughout the world. If you are interested in an electric washing machine, an ironer or a dishwasher, a health machine, or any other electric device for your home, write to the General Electric Company, either at Schenectady, New York, or in care of the station to which you are listening for descriptive material. General Electric offers this service gladly and without obligation. When buying electric equipment, look for the General Electric monogram, GE in a circle. It is a symbol of research and a mark of electrical quality and dependability, the initials of a friend. The General Electric Hour now closes. During the last few seconds, the chimes of Telechron, the modern electric timekeeper that operates from your lighting circuit, have been heralding the hour. It is now exactly 45 seconds past 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. This is Edmund Ruffner announcing. There is now a brief pause for station announcement.
You are listening to the General Electric station in Schenectady, WGY.